Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I am going to show you that I believe IBM is not just working with Stellar, but they're working more or less with Ripple too. And I'm even going to show you a slip of what could be just a slip of the tongue from an IBM executive where they actually say something along those lines. But more than that, I'm going to prove to you it's pretty obvious that IBM is trying to integrate with Ripple. Well, the reason we keep saying all of the money is because all of the money is going to be flowing through these interconnected ledgers and everything else. And we'll show you the chart once again today, but it'll be very clear what's going on. It is to me after the things I'm going to talk about today. Now, first, I want to show you this. Mr. B gave us a little reminder. Everyone have a great weekend. Here's some light reading for your morning coffee. And of course, this is the article that Ripple put out, 2020, the year of the digital asset, right? And then Shane Nixon had replied and brought to my attention something that I had just kind of forgotten, a part of what was said here. This is part of that article written by Ripple in December of 2019 about what's coming in 2020, which they call, not me, they call the year of the digital asset. Institutional markets, that's Brianna Madigan that said this, says this will be enabled by trusted custody brands such as State Street and Bank of New York, or BNY Mellon, that is, becoming involved in digital assets. The presence of recognized players will increase institutional confidence in the space and pave the way for greater institutional adoption next year, explains Brianna. CEO Brad Garlinghouse is even bolder, predicting that half of the top 20 biggest banks in the world will actively hold and trade digital assets in 2020. He is also one of the many on the team that believes fiat currencies will go digital in the next year. While SVP of Spring, Ethan Beard, expects at least one central bank to launch a tokenized representation of their fiat currency in 2020, Brad forecasts at least one non-G20 currency like the Argentine peso or similar will become fully digitized within the next year. I want to focus more on this. This is more or less the point that Shane Nixon, he says, just check out this section. What do they know that we don't? And how much of this might have changed due to CV? I don't think any of it changed. I think it's sped up, if anything else. But look at this. Here's what I think they know, because we've already researched it. Remember, PolySign, this is a subsidiary of PolySign that just popped up. We've talked about it, standard custody in New York. We've looked, I believe it was Crypto Eddie that found one or two of the executives, but there was an additional executive that was an ex-BNY Mellon guy. I think it's very obvious where this is all going. I think that what she's saying here is that State Street and BNY Mellon are going to be using this standard custody for their custody. We know BNY. Why would they put BNY Mellon executives in this unless that's what was going on? Remember, BNY Mellon and State Street are two of the largest, probably top three largest custodians in the world, okay, in traditional finance. And when I say custodians, I mean you buy a stock on E-Trade, someone holds the physical certificate in custody. And that is what these companies have done for years. That's the reason you can go and buy that stock on E-Trade and feel good that you own that stock and not worry about where it's physically held, because Wall Street built the trust around that. That's why they're calling this standard custody and trust company, in my opinion. They want this to be the standard. And I believe, write it down, I said it here first, I believe State Street and BNY Mellon will be, this is the company that they're going to use to custody their digital assets. You watch. All right. And then Michelle Vandenberg sent me this. Apparently J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter series, really caused a stir on Twitter yesterday by just asking about Bitcoin, and it created, apparently it created a whole firestorm. She said, she doesn't understand it. And at some point, I think she said, well, that's just like a collectible. It's like nothing. And I think that really got them going. But they also had there was a storm created because all the XRP people were telling her about that and telling her how much better it was. Tyler Winklevoss told her to DM him. Then he made a smart comment. He's been getting bolder lately. Dude, shut up and wait your turn. And this person, this XRP, is talking about how Bitcoin is a Ponzi, useless coin. It's manipulated and controlled the prices. And he's got all these charts showing how much better XRP is. Tyler Winklevoss, of course, will never address the actual facts. He just moves on to the next thing. He will never try to challenge XRP in terms of the technology aspects of the digital asset because he knows there is no comparison. I never accuse the guy of being dumb. They are putting their head in the sand philosophically and in the way they run their business, yes. But I think they've still got a chip on their shoulder from the guy that created the BIT license who's now on Ripple's board. Okay, XRP Yo-Yo sent me this. Central banks in 46 countries are considering creating a central bank digital currency using a constrained form of distributed ledger technology, DLT. When you hear DLT, you can really only think one of two things. Ripple and Stellar? I mean, according to a new survey, but they're leery of blockchain, okay? So this is a CoinDesk article. Of course, they're leery of blockchain until they're not. All right. Or maybe they're using, when they say blockchain, they're referring to the proof of work, like Bitcoin. When they say DLT, they're referring to, XRP Ledger, Stellar. Okay. Michael at VAL5 Links sent me this. And by the way, I forgot to mention, yesterday my video had all kinds of hiccups and it was brought to my attention. What happens is every once in a while, I'll have to shut the old computer down or shed some memory, delete some of the things on my computer to get this thing working optimally. Now, once things really take off, I'm just going to go spend major money and get a major. Now I could do it now, but I'm just trying to ride this thing out. Let's finish out the year of the digital asset and of 2020, the year of the digital asset. Let's finish that out, and then maybe I'll make the transition from this computer, which is a Windows, to an Apple computer, which I've always been told is so much better. I can make that transition now, but I really just don't want to do it. Okay, Stuart Alderati tweeted this out yesterday. And remember, he's been at Consensus 2020, which was a virtual consensus. So technically, he was online at. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau believes that Ripple's products could allow banks and credit unions to know the exact final amount that recipients of remittances will receive before they are sent. So do we. Now, if you look at this, XRP Crypto Wolf summed it up and put it and showed it to us in a really simple format. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau mentioned Ripple and XRP in their new report. Remittance transfers under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act. Ripple's products could allow banks and credit unions to know the exact final amount of remittance transfers. So once again, these government agencies are on board with what Ripple's selling, folks. The continued growth and expanding partnerships of virtual currency companies such as Ripple, which offer both a payments messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers as well as a virtual currency, XRP, which can be used to affect settlement of those transfers. And then down here it says, press release, Ripple announces strategic partnership with money transfer giant MoneyGram. That's one of their sources they're listing. And then the Bureau also believes that expanded adoption of Swift's GPI product or Ripple's suite of products could similarly allow banks and credit unions to know the exact final amount of the recipients of remittance transfers will receive before they are sent. And then goes on, here's another page, and then this is the front of this. Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection, remittance transfers under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act. Bureau Consumer Financial Protection final rule, official interpretation. This Final rule is effective July 21st, 2020. Well, that's coming up. That could put us in the year of the digital asset, couldn't it? It's one of the things. All right. Okay, now this is where things get interesting. What I told you at the beginning of the video about IBM, just watch where I take you now. All right. So remember a few months back, we saw all of a sudden out of nowhere, we saw Spring start touting that they went to, I think it was like an Ethereum, it was like an Ethereum blockchain conference or something where the focus was on Ethereum. And at that time, as I recall, Spring was making it known that they're trying to set it up so that XRP, there's a bridge from XRP to Ethereum, probably Ethereum 2.0, I would think. But anyway, it says this is a tweet from yesterday. By combining XRP for settlement, the Ethereum virtual machine for programmability, and Avalanche for consensus Flare networks forms a Turing-complete federated Byzantine agreement network to build smart contracts. All right, Flare Networks is a company that Spring invested in not too long ago. So let's look at this. This is from Warren Paul Anderson's blog yesterday, Developer Reflections Flare. Now, I don't get into developer speak, but I can understand some of these things here at the beginning. This week on Developer Reflections, we're proud to highlight Flare, a next-generation blockchain network that allows developers to build, fund, and settle smart contracts using XRP. At its core, the XRP ledger was built as a settlement network for cheaper, faster payment, which is why XRP is so effective as a bridge currency to support use cases such as global remittance, see Ripple's on-demand liquidity. In order to serve as an efficient, reliable network for settling transactions, the XRP ledger was intentionally designed for a minimal surface area, meaning that it's not as effective at supporting complex computational programs classically called smart contracts. Last fall, Spring invested in Flare, led by co-founders Hugo Filion and Sean Rowan, as a way to extend the XRP ledger to support more advanced applications that require smart contract functionality. Flare combines the settlement functionality of XRP, the programmability of the Ethereum virtual machine, and a version of the, now they get into all of that talk about developer talk. Okay, so let's go. I decided to go let's look at Flare. This is Flare's blog. I wanted to show you what they said. Launching the Costin Test Network. Over the next quarter, we will set our plans to trustlessly integrate XRP with Flare. This will enable smart contracts with XRP on a next generation blockchain with settlement on the XRP ledger. Today, we are very excited to announce an important stepping stone in getting to that reality, the launch of the Flare Public Test Network, codenamed Costin. The Costin testnet is designed with two goals in mind: a test bed for developers that want to utilize Flare with XRP to develop and test applications before risking actual value, and to test various functionality and smart contracts that will form the core utility of the Flare network. The Flare network will have two-way trustless integration with XRP. All right, I'm not going to go any deeper into that, but here's where it gets interesting. I wanted to show you the Flare website. All right, this is at flare.xyz. Look at what it says on the very front of their website. Unlocking the value. 85% of the value of blockchain tokens is inaccessible to decentralized applications. That changes now, starting with XRP. And then they're talking about this Costin testnet. Well, I decided to look around on the Flare website, and the team is the first place I like to look. Well, I wanted to look at who their advisors are. So let's start with this guy, Steve Einstein. He wasn't too interesting to me. He is chairman of something called Equitech. Now, it starts to get interesting when you get to this lady. Her name is Jules Miller, partner, IBM Blockchain Accelerator, IBM Blockchain. All right. So, she's IBM Accelerator, she leads the IBM Blockchain Accelerator and previously IBM's Blockchain Garage for North America. So, Question, why is a woman who runs the IBM blockchain accelerator, why is this woman an advisor to Flare? And Flare seems to be all about integrating XRP and this Ethereum, whatever machine they called it. Why? Well, the why of that, if you've been around for a while, is very obvious. It's all the money, folks. XRP ledger is here. IBM is right here. We've talked about all of these things. It's all about interoperability. That's what this is. Now, let's go back and look at Jules Miller again. I went and I looked around and I happened to find a video by Jules Miller. Now, maybe this is just a slip of the tongue, folks, but she does have Ripple in her slide presentation. This is her right here. This is from April 9th, 2020, not too long ago. Listen close.
So here's a little chart. So you can see all public blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum have a token. And so there's nothing in that bottom category because there are no public chains that do not have a token. There are most of the mostly used permission blockchains don't have a native token. So Hyperledger, Quorum, Corda, some others, you can certainly build tokens on top of them, but they don't have a native token. And then there have been a couple of cryptocurrencies that are particularly built for permission change, like Stellar and Ripple, and we have a partnership with with Stellar. Oops. And so those are specifically for payments on blockchains, on permission blockchains. So end it with a visual.
Okay, that's all I really wanted to show you there. I know that was just a slip of the tongue. I know IBM works with Stellar, but I'm here to tell you that they all work together, folks. I mean, I've seen enough. All right, okay. So that's Jules Miller, and I was going through some of these others, if you look, you got this guy, and I went one by one on them, but I got interested in this guy because his name is David Lofthouse. David Lofthouse is a venture partner with Clock Tower Technology Ventures, and they're over in UK. Well, and he used to be, it looks like David's earlier career was with trading, was at JP Morgan, Greenwich Capital, and Goldman Sachs. So this guy kind of caught my attention, but I decided to go look at Clock Tower Technology, which is his venture capital firm. Well, if you look through, you can see all this and this. And if you go to meet the team and then you get to the advisory board, let's look at the advisory board. Well, this guy looked familiar to me. KT zu Guttenberg, right? You can't make this stuff up, folks. I remembered this guy, and I'll show you how I remembered him. This is Karl-Theodor zu Guttenberg joins Ripple Labs advisory board July 1st, 2014. This guy is not just some jackleg, folks. This guy is European royalty, okay? You know why I know that? Is because the guys at SPQR Media did a video not too long ago, The Truth and the End. You need to go watch this video from these guys. They went into who this guy is. A pretty fascinating journey into who this guy is. And to think that in July 1st of 2014, this guy thought enough of this startup. Now remember, back then Ripple was a startup that was 2 years old. Why would someone from European royalty notice a startup that's 2 years old that early? You tell me. I think I know the answer. But anyway, so this guy just happens to, this advisor to this Flare that is obviously working on integration of XRP with Ethereum. This guy happens to be directly connected to this guy, this Guttenberg, who was one and could still be, I don't think he is, but on the advisory board at Ripple. Okay. And then and go back. I really encourage you to go watch this SPQR video because if you really want to find out just how big of a monster that Ripple is, go watch that video. So rounding the point right back out, remember, Interledger, enabling interoperability. That's what they're all building, folks. IBM is partnered with Stellar, but I believe they're all partnered together. And when I say that, I believe that Ethereum, Stellar, and XRP, if you're going to own three, Those are the ones. I think that they're going to allow Bitcoin to come in the door just because of, I think, so many people, so many money people invested early in it. I think that's the only reason Bitcoin's even sticking around at this point. And it will probably stick around for the long term for that reason, but not because it's going to be used for anything other than a store of value. Okay. I wanted to finish this video up with esoteric XRP. I can't stress enough, at the end of the day, the most used crypto for bridging digital fiat assets will be the most liquid, will be the standard, will be the global reserve, will be digital gold, will be XRP, hashtag zero doubt. And I agree. He says, what's in your wallet? Now, I wanted to show you this. This kind of made me sad yesterday. I saw this. These terrible, the layoffs and the job losses that are going on are just awful right now. This is JCPenney files for bankruptcy. You young people that are listening to me now, when you're looking to put together your Christmas list for Santa Claus, you probably use your iPad or whatever, and you go online. When I was a kid, there was a big, thick JCPenney catalog, and there was also a service merchandise catalog. And I would spend all my time. It was a catalog, a physical book that had nothing but, I mean, they had a toy section, and I would go through there and circle the toys that I wanted. I wanted Santa Claus to bring me. And then I would hand that magazine to my parents because they were the ones that were going to send a letter to Santa Claus or give him my list. And they would make a list out of that to give to Santa Claus. And now it's bankrupt. But there's a couple of points here, folks. First, we live in some scary times. But second, nothing lasts forever. I can remember when Kmart was everywhere, folks, and Kmart in my town, at least, is gone. Okay. Nothing lasts forever. Things change. A lot of people are scared of change, but I encourage all of you out there to be ready for change. Keep your eyes open, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Keep your eyes open because the world's constantly changing. I believe it's about to change faster than you think. And I believe if you're a large XRP holder or even a medium XRP holder, you're going to get to really benefit from that. And if you are one of these people that has been laid off, go in the description of all of my videos. You can roll your 401k or your 403b into an iTrustCapital IRA and invest directly in digital assets. And then you can invest in XRP, either tax deferred or tax free, folks. Game changer. All right. And also there's one more day left on this 50%. This is in the description of all my videos too. 50% off Ledger Nano S's through tomorrow, I believe. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor used to circle the toys in the JCPenney catalog, and that is how I got my list to Santa Claus. Thank you for listening.